Hello everyone, tonight on our program, calls intensify for economic debate on Ghana's investments from oil resources.
Position is on this is that we keep the Heritage Fund as is, but let's change the quality of the investment instruments so that we can get better returns on it.
We'll have more from a public lecture held by the Public Interest and Accountability Committee. Also coming up, Bank of Ghana projects cedi will stabilize against the US dollar in 2 weeks following recent policy rate hike, and other monetary measures. Will bring you an exclusive with the bank's head of research.
Probably from 2 weeks downwards, we should begin to see the markets reacting to the policy change. Sentiments will begin to change. The speculative elements will begin to die down.
And tonight on the Joy Business Van, a couple finds new gold in turkey berries. We continue our story on Achiever Foods. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Details in a moment. My name is Daryl Kwawu, and tonight there are growing calls from analysts, experts, and market watchers for a review of the investment instruments that the country's oil resources are being put into. For instance, the stabilization and heritage funds have not been able to yield higher returns for the country after 10 years of oil production. Commenting at a public lecture on 10 years of management and use of oil resources, General Manager for Sustainability at the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Dr. Kwawu said it's unwise to keep the funds in low interest yielding instruments whilst the country borrows at higher rates.
The country's management of the oil revenue for the past 10 years has been described as unsatisfactory despite some gains made in certain infrastructure projects. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee's lecture on the 10 years of management of the petroleum revenue is part of a campaign by the committee to inform the general public on happenings in the upstream sector. Keynote speaker Dr. Theo Echampon hinted that the funds have not yielded much because of how it has been invested.
Because you are already spending 70p plus 21p, almost 91p of that on your budget anyway. And then, of course, we are also going to borrow. And then even when we borrow, we have big question marks on the quality of the investments that we're making with those funds. My position is on this is that we keep the Heritage Fund as is, but let's change the quality of the investment instruments so that we can get better returns on it. And this needn't necessarily be keeping money in the US Treasury, like buying Treasury bonds. We can actually invest locally, but find a way of ring fencing them so that the politicians don't end up taking that same money. By the time we realize we'll be here 10, 15 years and there'll be nothing to write home.
Meanwhile, the General Manager in charge of sustainability at the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Dr. Kwawu, believes this fund has not served any good purpose considering the current economic situation of the country.
Lending money to the US, because when you buy US Treasury bills, that's what you're doing. You are lending money to the US and then going around the world looking for money at a higher rate. So we can have a debate on that. And I think as a country, we need to discuss oil revenues devoid of sentiments. The oil dollar doesn't give us 1 cent more than money from timber or cocoa. Dollar from oil has the same value as dollar from timber. So if we decide that ask for oil money simply because it will get finished, we have to waste part of it in the Heritage Fund because it will get finished. I think, in my considered opinion, we are wasting value. I'm not the only person who has raised this.
A total value of $31 billion have been generated from the country's oil fields so far, out of which Ghana earned $6.5 million.
Now, the Bank of Ghana has indicated the cedi will start stabilizing against the dollar in the next 2 weeks. This will be as a result of the series of measures outlined by the central bank aimed at the local currency's depreciation and checking the continuous hike in inflation rate. Philip Abredu-Otu is head of research at the Bank of Ghana. He has been speaking to Joy Business.
Probably from 2 weeks downwards, we should begin to see the markets reacting to the policy change. Sentiments will begin to change. The speculative elements will begin to die down. Already, if you heard the governor was saying that the exchange rate is in an overshoot. And anything that shoots up comes down.
Help me out with some education. That was a very interesting analysis that the governor sought to give, that we've seen the West, so don't expect any significant depreciation again. Interesting, some would say.
Well, because the exchange rate, like we always say, moves along with the fundamentals. And there's always a long-run trend for the exchange rate, okay, that are consistent with the fundamentals. Now, if you see the exchange rate moving way above where we think it should be, consistent with the fundamentals, it tells you there's a problem of an overshoot. That overshoot could be some speculative elements moving it above where it's supposed to be. Of course, there is stress in current macroeconomic conditions, and that stress affects confidence. The confidence then begins to impact on speculative activities, and that could overshoot the exchange rate.
Welcome back to Business Live. The UPSA Law School is getting ready to hold the 4th edition of the Africa Trade Roundtable, dubbed the AFTA, the Environment and Sustainable Value Chains. It's taking place tomorrow, Thursday, the 24th of March. Gertrude Amokom-Ama, who coordinates the forum, joins us with a look ahead to that. Good evening to you, Gertrude. What are we looking at here?
Hello, Daryl.
Yeah.
Can you please repeat the question?
Yes, so I was asking about the topic for tomorrow. After the environment and sustainable value chain.
Indeed. Daryl, I think it's worth mentioning that the ACCA is now partnering the UPSA Law School for the Africa Trade Roundtable. So the program is even bigger and better this time around. Now, Daryl, you'd agree with me that one of the questions that has always plagued world trade is the complexities of value chain dynamics on the environment. So with the implementation of the AFCFTA, there's really the need to assess the associated environmental risk, especially in the light of climate change. The UPSA Law and ACCA also believes that we need to find out what kind of mechanisms have been put in place to manage these associated environmental risk. One of the challenges the implementation of the AFTA could potentially have is environmental degradation. I mean, Africa is blessed with so many resources, but if we are not careful with the implementation of the AFTA, one of the issues we could face is environmental degradation as a result of the continuous harnessing of these resources. So we need to have a structured conversation on how the AFTA is going to ensure that with the implementation of the AFCFTA, associated environmental risks are properly taken care of, especially in the context of climate change. So that is the main reason why ACCA and the UPSA Law School has put together the 4th edition of the Africa Trade Roundtable on the theme, the AFCFTA, the Environment and Sustainable Value Chains.
Ed, important topic because we are getting to know each passing day that climate change is real. But then you wonder how committed African governments are to ensuring that, like you point out, we don't degrade our environment.
Absolutely. So these are some of the issues that we really want to take a look at, because it's not enough for us to say that we are ready for the implementation of the AFTA without looking at the potential dangers, especially on our environment. So we would want to find out what is the readiness of the AFTA, first of all, in itself, to tackle some of these associated risks. And at the same time, how are individual governments in Africa preparing themselves to ward off or to at least manage some of these risks once trading under the trade area commences?
Okay, and so who are the speakers for tomorrow's event?
Yes, we have put together an experts panel to tackle this topic. First of all, we have the country director for Africa for the ACCA in the person of Mr. Jamil Ampoma. We also have the coordinator of the Third World Network, Dr. Yao Graham. And we'll also have the chief technical director on the AFCFTA joining the panel or being the panel that would discuss and dissect these matters that I have just mentioned to you.
Yeah, it would be interesting to find out from the web form after if there's already a paper on that. I was trying to look that up, whether there was a paper on climate change and how the Secretariat or AFTA in general is working to ensure that we look at not just making money from trade amongst ourselves, but protecting our environments as well. And so this is taking place at the Movenpick Ambassador Hotel, right? And it's strictly by invitation, but others can join in via Zoom, right?
Absolutely.
Sorry, I took it away from you.
It's strictly by invitation at the Movenpick Ambassador Hotel. But at the same time, like you rightly said, you can just visit the social media platforms of the UPSA Law School, be it on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. And then you can get the meeting details. So you can join virtually from all around the world. So as a matter of fact, tomorrow we are expecting a lot of people to join from all over the world to assist us in discussing these issues and to be educated and enlightened at the same time, Daryl.
Right. A final pitch. Why should anybody follow this conversation? Why is it important for us to listen in?
I mean, first of all, the ACCA UPSA Law School Africa Trade Roundtable has established itself as the #1 platform for sustained discussion on the law and policy of African trade, especially in the context of the AFCFTA. So for everybody, for all persons, and mind you, the implementation of the AFTA is going to affect each and every one of us in one way or the other. So for education, for enlightenment purposes on some of these matters that we'll be discussing tomorrow, it's essential that each and every person joins us for the discussion. Yes, Daryl.
All right, we will be following. Thanks very much indeed, Gertrude Amoko-Ama, who is a coordinator for the Africa Trade Roundtable, which is being organized by the UPSA Law School in partnership with ACCA. Thanks so much. Now, let's turn to news from around the world in terms of business. Here's our report. Your money tip on Money Lab.
Good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for the Money Lab. Now, how long should one hold on to his or her investment? You can hold on to your investment, your stock investments, for as long as you wish, for a lifetime, or even keep for your children and children's children. But it all depends on your investment objectives and when you actually want to exit the market.
And that's our program tonight. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. The day's latest stories from over there, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Daryl Kwawu. Thanks for watching. We will be back same time tomorrow.